Hello viewers, my name is Stephen Odhiambo Okuku. I was born on the 12th day of April 1997 in a small village in Siaya County, Madiang Division, in a place called Wigwam Beach. I was born in a polygamous family of 3 mothers, 18 children. Fortunately enough, I was the last born in our house. Living life in my village was not easy. It was embedded with a lot of difficulties. I remember growing and going to school in my village called Mirao Primary School, where I studied my nursery stage of education. I later left my village through the help of my mother to a place called Yala to go and study at her place. So I studied in Malira Primary School until 2001 when I started for my KCPE, qualified and joined Malira Secondary School, where I sat for my KCSE in 2005. I later scored a grade of B plane, and during that time the cutoff points of the university was still very high, so I was not able to join the university. So this forced me to go back to my village in Siaya County, where I got a job as a primary school teacher in 2006. I was teaching Kiswahili and science in Mirao Primary School, and at the same time teaching another school called Naya Mixed Secondary School, where I was teaching Kiswahili and English literature. So jogging between these two schools was not an easy job because I was doing a voluntary work. I was not being paid, but I was just getting experience. Through teaching, I later realized that I was impacting heavily on the lives of young people. The students I taught at Mirao Primary School, most of them qualified and went to national schools, and most of them are now graduates, successful in their employment. So during my teaching tenure at that school, I realized that I had an ability. Because I had changed people's lives, I also wanted my life to change. So I decided to go back to school in 2007. But because my family was poor, I could not manage to raise school fees for my secondary education. So I told my parents to leave me to cater for my education fees. So I got an enrollment at a school called Mbita High. When I joined Mbita High through the help of one of my friends, I was told to pay a school fee of 20,000 for admission. Because there was a friend of mine who had promised to raise the school fees for me, I went to the school with my civilian clothes and joined the school. When I joined the school, the head teacher, the late Mr. Marenda, and may his soul rest in peace, allowed me to join the school with the hope that the school fees was going to be paid within 1 week. But what was very interesting is that in the same school, I found students that I taught at class 8 at Mirao Primary School who are now Form 1 students. And most of them could even address me as teacher. But despite all those challenges, I decided to go to school and I decided to learn at that school. After 1 week of studying with civilian clothes, we realized that the money was not forthcoming, and the principal decided to take me back to my village aboard the school pickup. So I went back with a lot of emotions, and when I went back, I never went back to my home directly. I went straight to Naya Mixed Secondary School, where I was teaching, and met the principal. By that time, he was called Mr. Maurice Lango, who later allowed me to continue teaching. At the same time, the deputy principal of that school heard about my plight at Mbita High School and told me to register for the school for KCSE that year. I accepted, and the school paid for my registration fee and the school fees because I was teaching, and the salary that I was supposed to be paid was supposed to cut for my school fees. So I taught the whole year without getting any salary because I was being paid for school fees. So I was a teacher and at the same time a student. So in 2007, I could jog around teaching Kiswahili, and I was teaching Kiswahili from Form 1 to Form 4. And at the same time, I was a student who was supposed to sit for KCSE the same year. So by around third term, we sat for a mock exam. And after sitting for the mock exam, I scored a B plane, and I want to bring to your attention that Naya Mixed Secondary School is a village school that was a district school, and by that particular time it had no teachers except 2 TSC teachers, the principal and deputy principal. The school had no laboratory, the school had no library, and the school had no books. The school had no lunch program, and the school had no buildings. We were forced to sit and study under trees. Despite of all those challenges, I could sit under the tree and study for my KCSE exam that was forthcoming. I remember one of the teachers that hailed from my village, who was called Mr. Uduol, was teaching in a nearby school called Ndigo Secondary School. He was the one who could borrow books for me from the neighbor school that I was using to revise for my KCSE examination. Revising for the KCSE examination to make sure that I passed, and at the same time revising to teach other students to pass the same subject was not an easy work. But when I started the exam in October the same year, I gave it my all because I knew that was the last bullet I had to change my life. After sitting for my KCSE, in January 2008, I was later invited by the principal of Nyakongo Girls to go and teach Kiswahili as I waited for my results. I welcomed the invitation and they went to Nyakongo Girls, where I was teaching Kiswahili from Form 1 to Form 4. I was the only Kiswahili teacher in the same school. After a few months, the results for the KCSE were released, and I got information through my brother and my friends that I had scored a B plus of 71 points from Naya Mixed Secondary School. I was very happy because I knew very well that I was now going to join university directly, and my life was going to change, including the life of my family. So I continued teaching at Nyakongo Girls for a whole year until 2009, when I joined Kenyatta University to study Bachelor of Economics and Finance. When I joined Kenyatta University, it was the first time I stepped my foot in the city of Nairobi. So I was accompanied by my mother, who had frequented the city, so she knew all the places in town. She's the one who took me to Kenyatta University. But on my way to the university, something happened. We had boarded a bus from Kisumu, and remember it was my first time coming to Nairobi, so I had no knowledge of where we were going to pass and where Nairobi was. After Nakuru, our vehicle was carjacked, and all of us were taken to a forest around Gilgil, where we were almost killed in the hands of the carjackers. Fortunately enough, after robbing us of everything, they left us. And the next day, we were rescued by the police and given another vehicle to go to Nairobi. So we had arrived, the journey that was supposed to take 6 hours took almost 12 hours. But at the same time, we still arrived at Kangemi, where my mother was living. So let me take you through my life at Kenyatta University. When I joined Kenyatta University, I realized that I had a responsibility to change my future and to change the life of my people. So I became very serious with studies. I joined most of the development groups. I joined most of the business forums, and I took each and every opportunity that came my way. I took it with a lot of positive attitude. So that's when I started becoming a go-getter, because I knew this was the place to change my life. In 2012, before I graduated, I started hustling for jobs outside the Kenyatta University. And I remember we were the first people to start online freelancing. I started freelancing, and we were doing a lot of research online, and I could get something small to cater for my livelihood and the livelihood of my family while I was still studying. 2013, I got a job at Faulu Kenya, Matu branch, where now I was juggling studying and working, but I was still able to finish my studies and continue working. The same year, I graduated in the month of December with the Bachelor of Economics and Finance. And what was very interesting that I was graduating while at the same time already working. In 2014, while still working at Faulu Kenya, I saw an advertisement for a position of a unit manager at an insurance company within the country. Because I was still very young, but I was very ambitious, I decided to go for the job. And that's how I joined the insurance industry, and I became the unit manager of that company. And my career started growing. After 2 years, I joined another company where I became a unit manager, but with a bigger portfolio. After 2 years, I later joined another company where I became assistant sales manager, still in the insurance industry. After working in the same job for some time, I later joined another company where I'm working currently as the sales manager in charge of sales. But I want to say that my journey to where I am was not very easy. And this video is meant to inspire the people, young people who are struggling with life, that you are the only one who can change your life. If I start back after sitting for my KCSE in 2005 and refused to change my life, I couldn't have been here today. So I want to inspire each and every young person watching this video today that you are the only one who can change your life. You are the only one who has the key to the success that you want. The only thing that you need to do is to decide. When you decide, you can decide to change your life, or you can decide not to change your life. But what I did, I decided to take an action that will change my life. So your future does not depend on your brother. Your future does not depend on your mother. Your future does not depend on your friends. You're the one who can change your future. I have done a lot to make sure that young people also realize their potential. As a manager where I have been working, I have been able to nurture lives of very young people. I have some of my friends that I can mention their names that I have nurtured their lives, I have mentored their lives, and today they are growing. But I have to say that moving from the life of poverty to stability is not an easy work, because there's a lot of challenges on the way while trying to change your life. But I also want to say that poverty and problems are not permanent. As long as you're still young and you're ambitious to change your life, you can still change it. What is important is that how small you do it, but continue doing it. What is very important is that we must keep on walking. We must keep on moving. If you cannot walk, crawl. If you cannot run, walk. If you cannot fly, run. But at the same time, make sure that you move. what is very important is that we must always strive to move forward, however, what challenges we are going through. Never give up in your life, and never be brought down by the challenges you are going through, because by the end of the day, you are the only one who can change your life. As long as you are still alive, you have a responsibility to shape your life, to take your life where you want it to be, and to make it better. Thank you very much for your time, and that was my time.